What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Happy Juneteenth, everybody who's tuned in right now.
Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Happy to have you fellas with me today.
Glad to be here. It's just
Yeah.
real funny, you know. It's Juneteenth, but you got two black men working on Juneteenth for free. This is strange to me.
Oh man.
I don't
That's
know
the
how
purpose
to
of
talk
the
me into
day.
this, Antoine.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Look at Shane.
Because I definitely didn't ask to be here. You know.
Yeah.
He's making me do
You definitely
it,
did
so.
me up last night and
Yeah.
feel like I want to be on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what happened.
That's not what happened. No, not at all. No, I didn't put anybody to work today. All right. Because if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
No, you don't. I was joking, everybody. I was joking.
So I'm coming to you as always from Seattle area. Antoine, you're joining us from Jacksonville,
Duval
Florida.
County. Mm-hmm.
The home of Ring of Honor and All Elite Wrestling. And Shane, you're joining us from Phoenix.
Yes, indeed. Joining you from Phoenix, from the home of the AWF, the Arizona Wrestling Federation.
Oh, hey, there you go.
Absolutely.
Nice.
They're having a show coming up actually on June 27. For anybody, you know, in the Arizona area that wants to come check out some good graps. You know, they have some good like some names that you would recognize that come through pretty often. Like Priscilla Kelly has fought for the championship a couple of times. She was the women's champion. She might still be, if I'm not mistaken. Shotzi, you know, different people like that. So, you know, come check them out.
Damn. Okay. Well, Arizona Wrestling Federation, you guys can, you know, paid sponsorship. We or unpaid sponsorship. You know, you could
interview sponsorship. You know, let us interview some people.
Yeah, I have a deal for you. I'll give it to you for free, but you tell people you paid us, and that way maybe we'll pick up some paid business. You know what I mean?
That's a good one too.
You know, it's fake it till you make it, baby. We got Bleary Line in the chat. Happy Juneteenth from Bleary Line.
Thank you, sir.
Yeti Malone being real friendly. Hey, Shane, Hain, Antoine, and no one else. It doesn't matter what I create, gentlemen. I am the clown. Always the clown. My cousin Tony Montoya. Yeah, exactly. I don't get any respect. Tony Montoya. Oh, man, that's probably the most apt comparison ever, and it made me so sad. Tony Montoya, my cousin, says happy Juneteenth. Tony from the Alabama and Georgia area. He goes between both.
Shout out Alabama.
That's
Montgomery
right.
will never forget.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's a good point. Skewer Universe podcast. These two fine gentlemen have just elevated Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out to another level. Did either of you swim to get there and have a folding chair next to you?
No. But shout out Montgomery.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like this will not be the place that this will be needed or necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
Antoine's at con headquarters ready to demand answers on why it's more of a prohibited door instead of a forbidden door.
I seriously am.
Yeah.
I get tickets to the Ring of Honor show and Tony's there. I just might.
I'm pretty sure he's pretty much at everything that they do. So, like, I think that, like, he's there and he works from wherever he is on his other stuff. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's there in person
sleep.
at the... Yeah, the dude doesn't sleep at all. He just prays to Jesus, and then he gets on his private plane and goes wherever the world takes him. Yeti Malone, I'm 100% sure that Blade believes the background is the flag of North Korea. No, I don't. I put this background here. I'll have you know. Okay.
You did.
And I knew exactly what to look for. Kaylee Metz, Lil Stone Hobbit in the chat. What up? Happy to have you here, friends. It's going to be a rocking good time with everybody. We're going to break out the block rocking beats, and we're just going to have a hell of a circus.
No, you didn't.
But yes.
Rocking beats.
we're gonna. I know who says Block Rocket Beats anymore, right? That's actually before my time, just a little bit. Yeah, exactly. My simp in the chat, Skewer Universe, reminding us all, without me, this show today would not be happening. Put some respect on my name. You won't, but that's fine.
I will. I shall.
Oh,
I will today. Like I said, I want to show the people a different side. I want people to know that I actually do like Blade. You know, he's actually my friend, guys. You know.
Yeah, we are buds. We are buds.
I like to give him a hard time, but I need everybody to know that it's all in good fun. So
yeah, it is. It is.
I was like, we wanted to show the people that we actually do get along, right? Like, I don't just make fun of you all the time.
Support.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, thank you guys for using Juneteenth to show the white guy support. I appreciate it.
That's right. That's right. You see how loving we are, Blade?
You see how loving? Wow. Wow. Oh God. So yeah. So we're gonna talk about Juneteenth. We're gonna talk a little bit about the black wrestlers that blew our minds, inspired us, and still inspire us. Maybe some that still do. We're gonna talk about Forbidden Door and its not so forbidden status. We're going to talk about Mercedes and Hazuki. We're going to talk about ROH Global Wars. We're going to talk about that badass segment with Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland from Dynamite. That was unbelievable. Like, holy shit. I just got chills thinking about it. Like, that really, really good segment. I feel like Swerve could be like anyone's number one nemesis. You know what I mean? Like he just goes with everybody so well. It's ridiculous.
He could be anyone's number one nemesis, but also he could be everybody's Dr. Doom or Lex Luthor, in the fact that you can see his point of view. Yeah, right. He's like nefarious, but you kind of get why. He has a reason for what he does. Yes. Okay, you guys want to just jump into this? You ready to dive in, start podcasting, fellas?
I'm ready to hop in. I'm ready to pod.
That's
all right. I'll kick off the introductions here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition, a very special edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, a pro wrestling podcast about pro wrestling. And this is a very special edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. Indeed, because as it happened, we are recording on Juneteenth, and I am here with two of my very good friends, Antoine Raphael and Shane Graham. Shane, welcome back to the pod. It's been a long time.
It has, man. I appreciate you having me, man. And I'm looking forward to the discussion. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight.
It is. Yeah. Antoine, welcome back.
Glad to be back. Glad to be here with Shane. And just that with that topic list, I'm just kind of excited. So I'm always ready to get cracking.
Yeah. Well, hey, so I just want to say before we jump into this, it is Juneteenth. A lot of people have the day off. It's a relatively new federal holiday. So I just want to explain to people what Juneteenth is, right? So in 1861, the Emancipation Proclamation is issued, right? That theoretically should be freeing everybody. However, 2.5 years later, in 1860, so that's in 1863. So in 1865, that's the day that the Union forces went into Galveston, Texas, and basically explained to people like, hey, like this proclamation was signed like 2.5 years ago. You're free. That was the last place where they were still harboring non-free people,
slaves,
essentially. Yeah, slaves. Exactly. And so it's a really important day to celebrate. It's a really beautiful day to celebrate. And I'm so happy that I can spend it with you two and everybody listening and everybody watching. Do you have any thoughts particularly you'd like to share?
I mean, for me, it was an interesting holiday growing up just because I grew up in a really diverse area. So, at first, when I grew, so there's like kind of two halves to my childhood. So the first half of my childhood, I lived in a mostly black neighborhood. It was an all black neighborhood, but I went to school at a mostly white school. So I didn't really have like the Juneteenth lessons through school and stuff like that, like my parents had. You know, like when my parents were coming up, they would do the Pledge of Allegiance and then sing the Black National Anthem afterwards and then start their studies for the day. You know what I'm saying? Whereas that wasn't how I grew up. You know what I mean? So it was it was interesting because I was getting like the Juneteenth lessons at home and like through church and, you know, with the family and different things like that. But that's not every day. You know, at school, you know, there was really no recognition of it at all. So it was just interesting, you know, because it was like this little secret I had almost growing up. It was like, there's this thing that we celebrate that you guys don't even, you know what I mean? It was kind of like that more so.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So that was your whole life that you've been kind of
mostly, yeah. Because then when the older I got and the more diverse the district that we ended up moving to got, and there were more and more Black people moving out there, then we kind of developed our own thing, you know. So it was like we could acknowledge Juneteenth on our own without the school having to do anything because there was enough of us that knew about it. So,
Antoine, what about you?
Well, for myself, not many people do know this, but I was actually born here in Jacksonville. The thing is, we left. My stepdad was in the military, the Navy, so we moved to Virginia Beach. So Virginia is always home. We grew up in what my parents like to call the neighborhood that they didn't grow up when they were kids. So it was a pretty diverse neighborhood. The elementary school was right there in walking distance. We could hop a little swamp. But I'd say one thing with my man Shane that was the same is you really didn't learn about this stuff in school. The only way you learned about more than that slavery existed and that one day that it ended was honestly through my parents and through reading Rainbow and other areas, or really finding out for myself. So I didn't grow up celebrating the 4th of July as much as others. We barbecued, but even as a little kid, I always wondered, if people are if this is Independence Day, doesn't that mean freedom for all? So it never made sense to me. And no one could ever answer the question. So when it actually became a recognized holiday, it felt like finally, okay, maybe now you're seeing others besides yourself. I don't know, but it definitely was more learning on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. And the interesting thing that you bring up about Independence Day that's funny about that is, see, July 4th was always a big deal for me growing up. My family at large, but especially for me, I would say, because for one, it just a lot of stuff coincided at that same time. One, my birthday's 2 days later. Two, I have a cousin whose birthday is the same day as mine. So we both celebrate our birthday, you know, on July 6th. And then Tino's going to know what I'm talking about, but everybody in the Detroit area who works for the big three, you know, Ford, GM, or Chrysler, you get the first 2 weeks of July off. So
wow,
everybody in the whole city that works at these plants is called shutdown. So everybody gets these first 2 weeks off. So what would happen is, like, my family from here in Arizona, they would fly out to Michigan, you know, during that 2 week period. And we'd have a big family reunion for July 4th every year. So I never really associated it with Independence Day. I always associated it with my birthday and with the family reunion. So it's just different. It's interesting how different people grow up and associate the holiday with different things. Because, I never thought of Independence Day ever. Like, that was never what I was celebrating.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's fascinating. It's fascinating because I literally learned nothing about Juneteenth in school. at all. Zero. You know, and I'm not from a super diverse place. You know, that's not where I was raised. I was raised with people who wanted me to know good things, but it came from a very white perspective. You know what I mean? So it's like, I grew up in a very white suburb, and that Juneteenth wasn't like, if it was mentioned, but it wasn't like a part of our educational process. So all of that stuff I learned as an adult, you know, and on my own, like you said, Antoine. But I'm so happy that this country has finally, you know, despite the legion of morons out there who are, you know, trying to dampen it somehow, that we are celebrating this day because it is so pivotal. And it's actually like, for all the ugliness of our history, and there's so much of it, this day is actually a really beautiful day. And I'm glad that we get a chance to honor that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you know, on one hand, it's because of the history and because of the reasons why these things exist, it's kind of sad, you know, that there's colleges and universities, and then there's historically black colleges and universities. There's a national anthem, and then there's a black national anthem. There's July 4th, and then there's Juneteenth. So on one hand, it's like the reason why these things are separated is sad. On the other hand, it's very nice that these things are all acknowledged and that they're being celebrated, and that it's being used more or less as a reminder for most people, you know. It's being used more or less as a reminder of what not to do from the past, you know? So it's like, if we don't want to have to create another exclusively black thing, then we should probably all get along and, you know, everybody be together, you know? So it's like, you know, so it's a good reminder, but, you know, plus the black national anthem, it slaps, you know, so.
Always and forever.
Well said.
We all know it. Take a vote right now. Just put it into the chat. Put up the poll.
Yeah, I wish can I make polls in the chat? I don't know how. If I knew I was making chats, I would have
do it from the actual YouTube studio. I think you'd have to do it from.
Yeah, I would have had to do some research. But I do point well taken, Shane. That was really well said. Bleary Line says that he does want to point out to those who don't know that there are no Samoans on the real Juneteenth flag. Yoko's there for brand recognition. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
That is true.
Yeah. Also, Bleary Line says, I'm glad we got some explanation from Swerve because I hadn't been a big fan of his promos prior. They had that Bray Wyatt quality where they were very well phrased and delivered, but didn't say much. I agree with that. I knew the thing is with Swerve, I knew the moment would come where he would get a chance to like elaborate more. But yeah, there was a couple months there. MJF even kind of mocked him. It was like power. You know, it's like all Swerve's promos were kind of saying the same thing, like about power.
Well, I think a lot of his promos were spent talking to himself.
Yeah.
Think about it. MJF was off doing this. Will's out doing this. Mox is out doing this. Somebody's out doing this. This. So most of his promos were either directly to the fans or directly to the camera or to himself. So he had nobody to interact. And now he's finally got Will's full attention. And now I think we can see the direction. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to talk about that face-off that they had a little later because that was absolutely incredible. Yeah. And then Skewered Universe says the white perspective is also a whitewash perspective. No shit. It is almost like a deprogramming for that I've experienced over the last like 15, 20 years of my life is like, whoa, like we were told a very different version of history than what is true, you know, and what actually did happen. And that is something that you have to make a choice to unlearn and be willing to recognize that there is a truth that is different than yours that is actually accurate, you know, and
the best way to do that, actually, in my opinion, is to just update the language that you use to a modern context. and it just makes it sound worse. When you say things like slavery, it sounds old, it sounds outdated, it sounds like something that happened 4 years ago. But if you call it human trafficking and kidnapping and abuse and all of these things and murder and genocide, if you call it these things, then all of a sudden it hits way harder. It's like, ooh, shit, like that's what we were doing to people. Yeah. Like, but you have to update the language. You have to use a 2026 framing for what. So that's, I think, I heard somebody say that. I stole that from somebody, but I was like, yeah, that's genius. That's the way to do it.
And actually, I think that is well said, because if you just say slavery, no, if you go, what was slavery? What did that actually entail? Well, they did this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And now you're sitting there with your eyes bugging out of your head going, oh, okay.
Right. Like if you hear that in any context about any person, yeah, you stop and it makes you think again. You know, that's a great point, Shane. Well, while we are celebrating Juneteenth, I wanted to talk about the black wrestlers that kind of, we're a wrestling podcast. I want to talk about the black wrestlers that kind of influenced the two of you. I'll talk about some that influenced me, the ones that really, really inspired us all to see the business a little differently, or to see anything a little differently. And let's start with you, Antoine. Who's a black wrestler that really made a big difference in your fandom?
In my family is different than for me, because I remember being a kid, like I saw the end of JYD's career, Junkyard Dog, but he was very much loved. And if you haven't seen his documentary, I think Beyond the Mat or Beyond the Ring, I think they have it, Dark Side of the Ring. For me personally, I probably would have to go with Ron Simmons and the Wonderful Doom. I never saw a bunch of black characters this bad, this openly black before. And at first hidden behind masks, but they were so awesome and they were so intriguing. They had little me wrapped up in their story, led by this awesome one. And Ron Simmons was the one for me.
You know, I'm watching. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Between them, and believe it or not, I have a shock, but my family, my parents were big Dusty Rhodes fans. And being a little kid, I still recall to this day Dusty Rhodes dragging that woman out of the crowd, even though he had been put in the worst situation of all. And I understood it even at that time, looking at it through my parents' eyes. And I can never remember her name, but she also is one of my biggest influences that no one will ever remember, no one will ever talk about, but she helped make diamonds out of dust with Dusty Rhodes, literally.
Yeah. Are you talking about Sapphire?
Sapphire.
Yeah.
Yes, and she made me smile every time she got on the TV. So yes, that black woman and Ron Simmons.
Okay. Do you know the story of how Sapphire became his valet? She was just a fan that showed up to a lot of the shows, and Dusty recognized her in the audience after a while. Like, you saw a lot of our shows.
I hesitated because I heard that she really was a fan, but I was like,
she just used to be at the Garden, I guess, a lot of times, like when Dusty and them would have shows at MSG, and eventually he picked her out of the crowd and was like, yo, come rock with me. And that was it. And then she had a WrestleMania match.
She had a WrestleMania match. She was in the ring with Sherry Martel, and Macho Man, WrestleMania 6. Unbelievable.
To me, that meant a lot to the struggle because they were put in an awful situation to be embarrassed, and they did. It ended up blowing up in Vince McMahon's face pretty well since they were very loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Well, and the thing about Dusty, and this really is a tribute to Dusty's greatness too, is he was set up to be a joke, a total joke, and that dude got himself over like
sheer will and charisma.
Yes.
Yeah. And just embracing what he was given and making the most of it, right? Like, oh, you want to make me literally a plumber? Okay, fine. Like, I'll do that. You want to put me in polka dots? Fine, I'll do that.
Got you.
But them coming out to the American Dream song, which is a banger, let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
Dusty and Sapphire dancing to the American Dream. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Shane, what about you?
So before I get into mine, I just want to shout out one of my dad's favorites, actually, because this is almost perfect lineage wise, because Antoine started watching a little bit before me, and then my dad, he was watching in like, the 60s and 70s, right? So my dad's guy was based out of NWA Detroit. They used to wrestle at Cobo Hall during the territory days, and this guy was the most winningest United States champion in all of history, let alone Black history, but in all of history, and that man is Bobo Brazil. Bobo Brazil, he won the United States Championship in every single territory that existed, and the current lineage United States Championship that still exists, the one that started with Harley Race and is part of WWE now, he won that one 7 times. So so I just wanted to shout him out, just from, because he's one of the pioneers, obviously, from the eras where it was way more difficult to, be able to be a Black wrestler and be taken seriously, So shout out to him. So for me personally, I would say the first Black wrestler that I really remember identifying with or just remember being treated like a big deal was Ahmed Johnson. That name may sound funny for a lot of people because he historically has just been kind of shit on by everybody on the internet.
But at the time,
like the Pearl River Plunge, like he was a big swole, like he was like Bobby Lashley, the prototype before Bobby Lashley was. Like that's the image I have of him. Like he was very unapologetically Black, you know what I mean? He was using Tupac lines in his promos and different stuff like that. So, and you got to remember, this is 95. Tupac is like the shit in 95. Yeah. So it's like, so Ahmed Johnson was probably my first guy. And then I was very lucky to grow up in the Nation of Domination era as well.
I was just about to mention them. Yes.
Is one of the greatest groups of all time.
If that didn't make me feel proud to be Black, I just don't know what could.
You know what I mean? Like, and since you brought up Ron Simmons, the bridge between Tony Atlas and Bobby Lashley. Exactly. That was Ahmed Johnson. That's a perfect way to describe it. Yeah. Like perfect. With the Nation, like you brought up Ron Simmons. Swerve actually, when he cuts promos, reminds me of Ron Simmons in this way. They both, it's very emotionally driven. So like they'll stumble over words sometimes. They'll stutter. They might say the wrong thing. They might say something out of order or whatever. Like, you're gonna beat my ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when really they mean I'm gonna beat your ass type thing. Right. You know what I mean? But it's like there's so much passion and emotion in the promo that it kind of overrides the mistake and it makes it come out more authentic and more real. Because when you're upset and when you're angry and you're yelling, like you're probably not going to be speaking clearly. You know what I'm saying? So it adds to the So Swerve actually reminds me of Ron Simmons a lot, because when you look at some of those old Ron Simmons promos from the 90s when he was Farouk and he was like getting on Vince McMahon's ass, like he was like stuttering and fumbling his words a lot.
He was. The man was so mad at me, like, calm down, brother, calm down. Right.
And Swerve does that, I feel like I noticed that with Swerve. Like he's getting amped up and he'll fumble words and stuff like that. But it's like, to me, that adds to the realism of what he's saying. Because it's like he's so emotionally invested in what's going on, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the things about Ron Simmons that I was going to add just to what you guys are saying is, you know, so Ron has this period between WCW and going to WWF where he's just kind of an indie guy, right? And he went to ECW for a short time. And I'm watching 1994 ECW right now. Ron Simmons is there tagging with a guy I would name Too Cold Scorpio, right? Like Scorpio is an absolute innovator in every single way. Like who did the 450 splash in America first? Scorpio's doing it in 1994, you know?
Yes.
Yep.
So like the guy would be a world champion if he was wrestling today, you know, like he walked so a lot of dudes could run. But anyway,
absolutely.
Ron is cutting these promos on Shane Douglas, right? And he has this line where he's like, I don't want your soul. You give your soul to God because your ass belongs to me. And I was like, yes. Like, whoa. It's like, and he's like in between that like baby face that he was in WCW and Farouk. It's like him crossing that bridge into like becoming that character. Or Ron Simmons described himself as like nobody ever ribbed him because he called himself unfuckwithable. And like you don't fuck with Ron Simmons.
Would you? I would.
Hell no.
Nope.
Hell no.
Those are the two names that come up whenever anybody says like, hey, who are two wrestlers that you just shouldn't fuck with? One is Haku, the other one's always Ron Simmons every time.
Every time.
Yep. Let's see what the chat's pining in here. Devil Dinosaur who is Professor Degree, by the way. I have long said that mistakes in promos equal authenticity. 100% agreed. Books is with us. Two of her favorite people and me. Hey, Books. Ow. Blurry Line said Blade has caught so many strays this episode. He's opening a cat shelter. I might as well.
Well, you just be a copycat like always, because Bex already did that. Shout out to Bex, you know. So just Blade copycat as usual.
Yeah, she did. She opened on my behalf, basically, to just exactly. I don't think WWF even gave us anyone black to rally behind until maybe Lashley during the era I was able to watch more. But Booker T on WCW was that guy. Middle finger to Triple H for Mania. Fuck that. That is the worst program in the history of this business, in my opinion, is Triple H and Booker T at 19.
That is still to this day.
It's infuriating.
There's not words I can describe how I feel about that man because of that moment. And I used to be a major fan. People who know me, who've known me, know I used to be a major Triple H fan. And that was one of the biggest slaps in the face that I will never forgive.
No,
I'm really happy that I was not watching at that time when that happened. I was able to look back on it and be like, damn, that was fucked up. But if I was watching,
I'm glad you missed that one.
Yeah, man, that was during my era where I was in college and I was just doing a bunch of other stuff. So, you know, wrestling was not on the mental at the moment, but I always heard about it and I was like, that's crazy. And then I saw the highlights afterwards. I was like, damn, like it that long? Really? Like,
I was in the building and
you were there.
I'm at 19, like one of the great WrestleManias, you know, HBK versus Jericho. You know, Brock and Kurt Angle, like just some all-time shit. I got to see Los Guerreros. I got to see, you know, you're just seeing all these, you know, now legends, right? And in the midst of all that, in that finish happened, and I was like, what the fuck? For like the rest of the night, I just couldn't get it out of my mind. Like, how could they have possibly done that? Like, you just fucked up so massively. Like, what were you thinking? Like the racist win? What?
To this day, I still can't believe that man is over there kissing their ass and working with them. I will just say it bluntly.
I know.
I have a major problem with Booker T, but conversation for another day.
Well, it's a fair point. Larry Line says the main answer I can think of that is the real first pro wrestler I ever saw on TV, not in a video game, was Booker T. I recognized him from the game I was playing. So even though he's kind of a dick these days, I have a soft spot for him. I'm just going to go ahead and say, as far as raw material goes, Booker T is one of the greatest ever. And it does suck to see him, just kind of like he just doesn't care anymore. And he just kind of,
Stop caring.
Yeah, he just stopped caring. Just give me the check or whatever, I guess. But like Booker T legit was one of the greats, like in the ring.
I wrote an article about this, actually. You guys, probably have read it. This was over a year ago or whatever, but it'll go on, it'll be back available at some point, is what I'll say. But basically the point I was making in that was because it was around the same time that he was having issues with Swerve, and Swerve's point was almost the meme that you guys see where it's like, it's 2026. We're not going to turn our cheek. We'll beat y'all ass. I'm talking about black people to racists. I'm sure we've all seen that meme. That is essentially the crux of what their argument was. You know what I'm saying? Booker T is coming from the place of, hey, like, we don't get a lot of opportunities, so you got to be grateful for the opportunities you get and don't fuck it up for the people behind you. Whereas Swerve is like, it's 2026. I'm talking my shit. This isn't that old 80s, 90s shit no more.
No more.
I have a soft spot for Booker T because I know older black people that are like that, who grew up in a certain time, who are like, hey man, don't ruffle feathers too much because you're gonna make problems for everybody.
It
that's a real
reminds
concern.
me of quite a few older black men that I know.
Yeah, so it's like that's a real concern, and I know where that comes from. It's just that in a wrestling context, it doesn't seem, it seems a little silly. You know what I'm saying? Like really,
well,
like,
and I think in the public spotlight, it might be hard for some people to understand why he could like even come from that perspective, because like so many people would see it more Swerve's way, right, at this point in time. But I loved that article because you you opened my eyes with that article, because I was like, oh, okay, like I do see that, like, I think there is just a way of thinking about what the problems you're going to create, by talking a certain way, from people who grew up with those very real worries, and so you don't want to delegitimize.
We got to remember too, he's from Texas, which we just spoke about was the reason Juneteenth was created, because they were the last place to outlaw slavery. So they're 2 years late. You know what I mean? So this is where he's growing up. He had been to prison. You know what I'm saying? Now imagine prison in Texas. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Life, but that's kind of how it is. You know what I'm saying? Like even modern day, it's still kind of like that. So when you grow up like that and then you get the opportunity to make it out and become very financially successful, I do, even though I disagree with it, I agree more with Swerve's side, but I understand where it comes from, where it's like,
we see the perspective, we see where you grew up, I understand. However, we're kind of a new generation.
Yeah, it's 2026, man.
It's 2026.
Back.
Right. Well, and rightfully so. I mean, I'm glad, because it's time to turn. I think a lot of what's happening in our fucked up country right now is a dying gasps of old kinds of power that are desperately clinging to it. And they are trying to, I mean, it's like, it's an age thing. It's a income thing. It's every demographic quality you can imagine. Old white men are clinging to the way things have always been. And that's kind of what MAGA and all that stuff really represents in a lot of ways, is like the desperation of an old way, and
old white men clinging to old white power.
Exactly. And I think,
and that's why the Nation was so dope, because just getting back to that point, that's why they were so dope, because they came in and broke up the status quo. And they also, when you look back at a lot of those segments now, like wrestling is such a good way to sort of capture where the country is at any given point, right? Like if you go back to those old promos in the 90s, they could cut those exact same promos today in AEW and we get cheers. But
absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? But in the 90s, you know, that made them bad guys for saying the exact same stuff. And then the other bad guys were the Hart Foundation, who were like, hey, in Canada, we don't really rock with racism and we provide free healthcare to our citizens. This is during promos that they're saying this stuff. And DX is in the back like, yes, America was built on the sweat of a black man and blah, blah, blah. And then, yes, they turned that into some shit and they were like, the Hart Foundation fucked y'all's locker room up, blah, blah, blah. But they were all acknowledging real things. Like, that's not something that you would see in modern day WWE.
No.
Vince even allowed that. And I hate Vince. I'm not giving him overly credit, but to allow that on TV in the 90s and to like allow Farouk to say a lot of the stuff that he was saying, like it's actually really, it's kind of incredible, but it's just interesting to know that if you drop those same promos today, the crowd would probably be cheering like, yeah, that's right, Farouk, you're right. America is fucked up, y'all. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, that's why 30 years later, we're still here talking about Ron Simmons. You know, I mean, that guy was massively important. And
first black world champion ever.
First acknowledged anyway, because like the thing about the world title is there were like Bobo Brazil actually won the NWA World Heavyweight title, but then it was disputed and stripped from him. But he went around calling himself the world champion. Like
there's a lot
back
of those
in the day
kind of
before
and stuff.
cable. Yeah, back in the day before cable, you could get away with shit like that. But
that's why Ric Flair says he's
Simmons
actually a 21-time champion, and everyone else says 16. He's like, actually, it's 21, but there's some of those like weird ghost reigns in there too.
Yeah, off TV, all those types.
Oh, and then just real quick, speaking of Ahmed, just because I brought him up early, he was the first Black Intercontinental Champion ever. So salute Ahmed.
Oh, damn, that's a great point. He was. Fuck you, Mama, 2 times in the chat, saying hello. And when are we talking about the Trailblazer, Bob Sapp? The one and only Black IWGP champion.
We were getting there. As a New Japan and Japanese
I was gonna lead up to Twan.
Wrestler and lover, Bob Sapp is one of the most important people in Black wrestling in history. Black wrestling in Japan, it has sort of a very spotty history, but Bob Sapp being a champ at a time when New Japan was going through a lot of transition, Big Man was really trying to go for more of an MMA type of feel, and he's still the only one, but he is an all-time hero for me. He made me realize that it could be possible. Others that came later on down the line, the Mercedes, the Ricochets. Another one I can think of immediately in Japan is Montel Vontavious Porter, MVP, who is the first IWGP Intercontinental Champion of all time. And how much of a relationship he had with Hiroshi Tanahashi, and my man just pointed it out right there as well too. So there's so much done by these Black wrestlers and by some of them that are still working in AEW today that people don't even realize they have done. I don't think many people knew he was the first IWGP Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion.
I didn't know that until right now.
Yeah, I might have read that at one point, but I had certainly forgotten. But yeah, he was the first. Yeah,
him and Tanahashi were very close. So yes, they were 2 of my biggest influences into getting into Puroretsu and Joshi.
And then today, you look at. I know for sure you look in WWE, you have Obafemi, you have Trick Williams, who seems like I only hear good things about him. And you look in AEW, you still got Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin looking like just as good as they've ever looked. You've got obviously Swerve Strickland is the motherfucking man. Like that dude is so good. And
Athena, Willow Nightingale,
Ricochet,
Mercedes, right?
Layla Gray.
Don't forget about her.
No,
on the shelf
no.
for now, but she will be back.
Yeah, and I think Athena is a special shout for me because she is carving a path that I have not always understood. People who listen to this podcast might have heard me even get frustrated a few times because I didn't really understand. But
a few times?
Yeah, maybe more than a few times. All right, fine, fair enough. But Athena is absolutely incredible. I think she's one of the best in-ring performers in the world of any gender, of anything. Like Athena, the match that she had with Sherry at Global Wars Cincinnati, like one of my very, very small list of match of the year candidates so far. Unbelievable match. Really,
absolutely amazing. It was.
And while we're on the AEW side of things, you know, shout out the brand new world television champion, Blackheart Leo Rush.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Yep.
Leo is another one who I had a very large fan interest in, and made his name in Japan, in New Japan. And at one point, my man had to retire point blank and didn't think he was going to come back. And for him to come back, be as talented as he is, invent himself in AEW, reinvent himself while in AEW, then reinvent himself again in Ring of Honor, and now he's champion at the top of his game.
Yeah. Somebody's got a notification going on.
Let me see who else. Well, just also, so speaking about, because you said Bob Sapp was the first IWGP heavyweight champion. So for you, Twan, Bob Sapp was The Rock then, because he was the first WWF champion, or the first black WWF champion.
Right.
And I just want to speak to this really quick. Also, like y'all have heard me speak about this before, but a lot of people on the internet like to try to take away from The Rock's blackness for some reason.
A lot. That's been going on for decades
he doesn't
now.
Act black enough or whatever the fuck that means. I don't know what that shit is, but
yeah.
Okay, let's use that framing just for a second, even though I totally disagree with it. But let's use that framing. Okay. The Rock became The Rock in the Nation of Domination, which is the blackest group on earth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they were a mixture of the Black Panthers and the Nation of Islam was the inspiration for that group. Those were the two blackest groups ever. So The Rock became The Rock in that group. He takes over as the leader, and then his swag, the way that he talks, he's wearing the shades, he's wearing the Miami linens and stuff like that. He's dressing like Diddy basically used to. And like how his dad, Rocky Johnson, dressed in the 80s, who also, him and Tony Atlas, first black tag team champions ever. So shout out to them in WWE. But yeah, so him being the first, like, let's cut this shit out. The Rock's black. He's the first black champion. All right. Yes. Like, let's cut the shit. So he was that representation for me. You know what I'm saying? Like out after the Nation and everything, he was the proof that somebody that looked like me could be at the top. The Rock and Stone Cold were 1A and 1B. Whoever you put in whatever order is fine. You know what I mean? Like, they were the guys.
Shane,
no one else had gotten a push like that before. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else had gotten a push like that before The Rock. And he's the only, he's the biggest star. He's bigger than wrestling at this point. You know? So shout out to Rock.
How bad for you, Shane, did the seemingly never-ending quest to strip Dwayne Johnson of his blackness bother you over these years? Because I know it sure as hell has been bothering me for about 20.
It annoys me because it seems like it only comes up when people are trying to take away from something, from an accomplishment or something. Like when we say he's the first black WWF champion, people will be like, yeah, but he's not really one of us, or he's not really black. And I'm like, why? Like, why? What makes you say that? You know what I mean? And then they always come up with stupid answers. And I think that's the thing that probably annoys me, is because they'll say it. And then I'm like, well, why do you say that? Because I think with certain people, you can make that argument. You know what I mean? If you're talking about Clarence Thomas, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, but talking about The Rock. So, like, what about The Rock? Because he doesn't say the words, I'm black, because he doesn't talk with a certain accent, because he doesn't, like, what is it about him because he acknowledges the Samoan family on TV more? Well, guess what? All of them wrestled. He only had one black relative that wrestled. Everyone else was Samoan.
What are you supposed to do?
He's supposed to acknowledge, right? Like, and he is half Samoan. So, like, I just don't understand where it comes from. So I guess that's the thing that annoys me. It's because it's almost like they just like to act like, I don't know. It's like they try to use it as like a way to take away from his accomplishments and stuff. If we say like he's the highest paid black actor in Hollywood, blah, 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 they'll be like, yeah, but not, But he brands himself as racially ambiguous, so therefore he doesn't claim us. It's like, does he? I never heard him say that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Never.
Like, I've heard him say he was Samoan and black. That's what I've heard him say out of his own mouth. So,
point blank.
Well, if you see his dad, The Rock is black. Like, The Rock is a black man. Like, it's just who he is. But one guy I wanted to call out specifically that I thought might not get mentioned, and it was a little before most of our time. He was there right when I started watching, was Bad News Brown in WWF, because what I loved about Bad News Brown is he never lost on TV. He never like, he was a heel, but he was always portrayed very strong. Like, very, like, he's always talking shit in the fans' faces. Like,
he wasn't
fuck
a cowardly
you, I'm not
heel.
taking your bullshit.
Never.
He wasn't a cowardly heel. He was an angry heel.
No, not at all. And Alan Coge, the man, was a fucking serious judoka. Like, Olympic
you
level.
You realize
judoka.
that he also spent the 70s in Japan.
He trained to be a wrestler in Japan. Yeah.
Yes.
In New Japan.
Because he was not going to be forgotten. I'm glad you got to him.
Yeah, hell no. No, I love
Bad News. Reason, like, I think, unfortunately, the reason that he gets neglected in a lot of these conversations is because you have to bring up the Roddy Piper shit. Like, you almost have to when you're talking about him. So it's like, people are like, how about we just not acknowledge that at all? Like,
God damn it, Roddy. What the fuck was he thinking? Like, fucking Jesus, Roddy. Books. Books was watching SummerSlam 1988 and saw Bad News Brown with us.
Wasn't he no Books? He had the leather gloves. My man always came to fight.
Yeah, I got to see him fight Jake Roberts at a house show in 1990. The first wrestling event I ever went to. And I'm so glad I got to see Bad News Brown. Yeah, fuck yeah. But yeah, you just, he also fucking told Andre the Giant to step off the bus and fucking say what he had just said to his fucking face, where they could throw hands, and Andre wouldn't get off the bus.
Yeah.
So that's how legit Alan Coge was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fuck. BJ Dixon says JYD was that guy too. JYD is one of the biggest draws in the history of the wrestling business.
One of the biggest
on a scale. Like, on a relative scale, 1982 to 1984, 1981 to 1984, somewhere around there. JYD is the fucking man in Louisiana, Oklahoma.
That's one of the best things that that the WWE network provided, was I was able to see a lot of guys who basically became cartoon, not Bad News Brown or JYD, well, kind of JYD, but kind of JYD, a lot of people who became cartoons basically once they joined WWE. I got to see what they could really do in a more serious wrestling environment,
right?
Because of the network. So I got to go back and watch all those old AWA matches and all those old territory matches. Yeah, and I was like, oh, JYD was like a bad motherfucker before, they put the chains on him and had him barking and dancing.
Right,
like, oh, okay.
Right. And I will say for JYD, even the, 1985 to 1988 JYD in WWF, he may have kind of like let himself go a little bit, turned into it, but that dude had so much charisma. It was crazy. Yeah. Like, they'd always have him like lose or like win by disqualification or something. But you just wanted to see him beat the guy's ass. You wanted to see him beat Harley Race's ass. You wanted to see him, whoever he was matched up with. But man, that guy, he made you love him. Yep. I mean, JYD, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what, shape he was in. It didn't matter anything. But if you go back and you look at him like sooner after his football playing days in Mid-South, the dude looks like a freaking bodybuilder.
That's
like,
what I'm talking. Exactly.
Unbelievable. Holy shit. You see why
going back and watching those old Mid-South matches, I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Him and DiBiase feuding and stuff. That was good shit. That was real good shit. And always never with the shout out to Coco Beware.
The Birdman.
Hell yeah, dude. The Birdman. Hell yeah. Coco also was a legit guy. He first got fired from WWF for getting in a fight with one of the highest rank, like one of the presidents of WWF at the time. He got in a legit brawl with him because the guy said something racially insensitive to him. I don't know what exactly he said. Got in a huge fight. They both got fired. And of all people, apparently Hulk Hogan put in a good word for Coco and they brought him back.
Hogan is such a weird case, yo. Like, I really just gotta say that. Like, he's one of those people who I really feel like, how like we'll say like certain people think you're one of the good ones. I really think Hogan thought like that. Like in real, like he actually thought like that. Like, no, if they're my friends, then they're one of the good ones. Because he was friends with a lot of black people, it seems like. So the racist thing, that was super weird because it's like, I get it partially because like, where you grew up and like you got money and you're an older white guy and like, okay, I kind of get it. But like, not really at the same time. Like, you're friends with Mr. T, you're friends with The Rock, you're friends with Dennis Rodman, you're friends with like, what's up with you? Like that. Yeah. Sorry on the side note, but that's so weird. Because then he's doing shit like this. He's getting Coco Beware's job back. Why would you do that if you're actually a racist? Like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
He seemed to be one of those that just seemed to have those quote unquote boys that he liked and in general, I guess, hated us in total general. I don't know.
It's weird.
It's very weird.
It's crazy. And the fact that he just never, I mean, even the fact that he never could just fake his way through a real apology was just like, come on, man. Like, not even for the PR, like for real? Like, well, don't get caught on camera, brother. It's like, that's not an apology, dude. That's not showing the world you've learned shit. Fuck You Mama 2 times does remind me of a great story. So Roddy Piper and Bad News Brown have this fucking what the fuck moment, right? Roddy paints half his body black. But he gets respect because after him and Andre had it out, Andre respected Bad News. And he poured the solution out that would get the black off of Roddy Piper. And so Roddy Piper walked around for like 2 weeks looking like that.
Yeah, he had to catch his flight like that.
Yeah, he couldn't get the shit off of him. So yeah, they made him basically walk around that way for like 2 weeks, and as it gradually wore off or whatever. But yeah, always never says one of the good ones mentality for sure. Yeah, I think so. I think Hogan wasn't threatened by people of color that he felt he could control, and
there it is.
I think that's probably what it was. Well, fellas,
or like on some, hey, you owe me now. It's almost like blackmail in a way. You could try to blackmail them.
There's your A or B.
Yeah, exactly. Well, fellas, I thank you so much for your insight and for your perspectives. Would you like to move on and talk about Mercedes Moné and Hazuki having that fucking incredible match they had on Dynamite?
I would love to.
Yes, but let me just real quick run off some other names just real quick.
Oh, please. Yeah, please.
Couple shout outs that we missed. Shout out Jazz. Shout out Jacqueline. Shout out. I think we got Bobby already.
Shout out Hall of Famer.
Jazz. That's right. That's right. Shout out. Who else did we miss? Did we get everybody? Shout out Cedric. Shout out Bianca Belair. Shout out Montez Ford.
New Day.
Yeah.
Dawson.
Shout out to the New Day.
Dawson.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Dawkins. I mean, that's his last name.
Dawkins. Right. Angela Dawkins. Yeah.
Jade Cargill. Shout out Jada Parker. Shout out Obafemi. Shout out Trick. Shout out Carmella Williams or Carmella Hayes. I'm sorry. Yeah, everybody that's doing their thing in WWE. I know we don't, always show y'all love. You know what I'm saying? But I respect the wrestlers, not necessarily the company. So I do want to shout y'all out.
100%.
And as Shane gave off the names, I do want to do the same because we do not like
D'Lo Brown.
Company as
shout out D'Lo Brown.
As a company, yes, shout out. However, I don't think most people really appreciate or understand the situation that they're in, which is a situation that a lot of us are in, which is I work for a company that doesn't really reflect the morals and the values that I stand for, but I have to get a paycheck. And when you're black and you're a wrestler, there's only but so many companies. So that's why we have to give them the leeway that we do, and hopefully they're doing the right thing. And shout out to them. Shout out
to Ron Killing. Shout out to New Day. Shout out
first
to all
black
those.
NWA champion. First black NWA champion, Ron Killing. So let's get that on the record too.
Yep. So, look, wrestling has, like everything else in American culture, Black people have been advancing it at a rapid pace, at a rapid clip, and innovating pro wrestling since it started, and receiving very little recognition for it. Times have changed, but they still have a ways to go. They just like America's got a long way to go, till things are truly, I don't know, equal. But we got to take these moments and really celebrate those people who have changed the game, who have made a big difference. And, it's amazing for me that I have friends like the two of you who we can sit together and have those conversations, because I think it's really good and healthy to do that,
Absolutely.
We're always here to
shout
have
out Naomi as well. And
shout out Naomi.
Salute to her and Jimmy on the baby.
On the baby. That's right.
There's something I'll always say. The only stupid question is the one that's never asked.
Yeah. Well, on Dynamite this past Wednesday, I think I want to switch in locations. This past Wednesday on Dynamite, Mercedes Moné and Hazuki from Stardom had a 22-minute epic match that I felt was a classic in kind of in Dynamite history. These two had faced each other one other time in New Japan, at a New Japan show that was in California. And Dave Meltzer called that match the greatest women's match in North American history. I'm not sure this one was quite that good, but I mean, who cares? Like they were fucking incredible. Mercedes Moné, I mean, where is she in the GOAT status at this point?
I think she's already there. What does she have to do to be in the conversation? At least in the conversation.
No, she's in the conversation. Yeah, that's for sure.
She absolutely
Are we talking
is.
modern day, or are we talking of all time? Because I think that's where the conversation gets a little interesting.
I think we're talking. I mean, I think Mercedes and Athena are like 1 and 2. You just take your pick which one they are.
1A,
right
1B,
now.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as in-ring athleticism, promo, like character, all that stuff, I think they're 1A, 1B. I don't know which one is which.
I would also throw Tekla in there.
Oh, absolutely.
She's a C also. Like she's not 2. She's A, B, C, somewhere in there.
Yes. Yes. And so then you go to the greatest ever. And I do think Mercedes is in that conversation.
I think so.
Lady has a lot of time left.
I think so, 3.
He has a lot of time.
I think so too. But I just wanted to know, like, if that did change anybody's thoughts. Like, because if you include, you know, the Medusa Michelli's turning into Alundra Blaze and then becoming Medusa without the Michelli again. Like, if you look at her whole run, she had some incredible matches. Like, I've seen her do some shit where I was like, they were letting women do this and then not letting women, but you know what I mean by that. Like, you know, like women were doing this in the early 90s, like, and then the late 80s type shit. Like, so Medusa had some shit where it's like, I think a lot of people just didn't necessarily see it, you know? And then Lita, being the innovator that she was, like, you know, she's in the conversation, I think. Of course, China. But then modern day, Charlotte Flair is one of the greatest to ever do it. Then you got Mercedes, of course, you know, and then you got Athena. And so it's like there's a lot of pieces moving on the chessboard. But I do think Mercedes is in my Mount Rushmore of women's wrestlers, though. I think I can say that.
And that's just from a North American perspective.
Even
talking about
the
Tam Nakanos or the Cerise of the world, or the Bull Nakanos who changed the Aja Kongs who changed the face of wrestling. You know,
Dump Matsumoto, Manami Toyota. You know, like I mean, these are, you know, absolutely incredible. And so for Mercedes to be in that conversation is no small feat. You know what I mean? But when you look at like what she's done with her career and how she's spending the prime years of her career, which I believe are right now, you know, and she traveled the whole world, winning titles in indie promotions all over the world, putting those people over, losing those belts back to those wrestlers and giving them the platform to say they beat one of the greatest of all time. You know,
I think from a shoot perspective, Mercedes Moné is probably the most important women's wrestler maybe of all time because of everything that you're saying right now.
Yeah.
From a shoot perspective, like if, you know, in kayfabe is more or less where I'm bringing up the other people, you know, like what their matches and, you know, their title accomplishments and that kind of stuff. That's all, you know, predetermined stuff. So we can't, but like, as far as, and shout out Bull Nakano also, because her and Alundra Blaze were those matches that I was referencing actually
100%.
from the mid 90s. They were going crazy. Like, in WWF, like they were having bangers.
They were the only two, though.
They were the only two, but they were letting them go though. Like they weren't wrestling like women, quote unquote, like they told Michelle McCool she had to do back in the day. That's a real quote. So that's why I say that about like letting women wrestle a certain way, because there was a thing where really until it was only certain women that got away with it. Like Beth Phoenix, she could kind of wrestle how she wanted to, you know, certain people, but for the most part, up until AJ Lee and Paige kind of broke through, it was, you had to wrestle like a woman.
Yeah.
And then now you're allowed to just wrestle, you know? So it's like,
it's bra and panties.
It seems like Bull Nakano and Medusa, they were wrestling back then. And like when I go back and look at some of those old matches, I'm like, sheesh. So yeah, definitely shout out Bull Nakano. That's an excellent show, Twan.
If we're just taking it from just a present day perspective, the importance that Mercedes has, just as Blade was saying, to take every single championship from those promotions, elevate them, give them a platform, and build their social media followings. Like I don't know about anybody else, but I followed like as many of those promotions as I could, and I still do. And to take 10, 11, 12 losses, that's the number of losses that freaking Kazuchika Okada's probably taken in the last 10 years.
Right.
She has no ego about this shit. So for me, Wednesday was no shock, no surprise. And it shouldn't have been for anybody else, for either participant.
Well, no, and the actual athleticism on display was not a surprise. What was a surprise was that they were given so much time.
That was a surprise, pleasantly.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that way, but it is. So I have a point on this. This episode took place in Sugar Land, Texas, which is kind of a suburb of Houston, right?
Right.
The crowd was live the entire time. They were chanting for Hazuki. You know what I mean?
They were.
Like they popped big for her when she came out. So if the people of Sugar Land, Texas can show respect and stay on the edge of their seat this whole match, anyone can. And I don't mean that as a diss at Sugar Land either. They were great. What I mean is anybody who has these suppositions about what women's wrestling means, you know, the crowds are dead for them. The crowds are this. Give them the best. They will respond. You know what I mean? Like this crowd came out of their seats for this match. It was so good. They actually convinced me that Hazuki was going to win several times. And that was going to take some doing because on paper, it was pretty obvious to me that Mercedes had to win, you know? Yeah. But they actually had me, you know? I really believed.
It was such a well-paced, well-done match. Mm-hmm. When you thought there was a lull, they'd pick it back up. Mm-hmm. It got physical when they would take their rest breaks. They could have gone another 10, 15 minutes, I felt like, and it'd have been just fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's not even hit her prime yet, just like Michael Allen Lewis is saying, Mercedes is the GOAT. She's not even in her prime, or she's just entering her prime.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know who Hazuki was before, I thought I will brush my shoulders off a little bit because I did pick her to beat Persephone immediately.
You did. Yeah. You did.
Yeah.
You definitely did.
Yeah. And you know, so obviously right now, everybody thinks they know the reason why, and the truth is none of us do, right? Correct. But AEW has some control in how much they feature women. But one of the things that I noticed on this Dynamite that I thought was kind of just baffling, there wasn't a video package, there wasn't a segment, there was nothing in the entire first hour of that show. Yes, they gave them a 20-minute match, and I appreciated that. You know, that's great. It's also the single longest women's match. What's that?
They gave them double the time by their standards.
Right. And I did appreciate that they got so much time. But come on, it's kind of clumsy to like the only woman who was in the first hour of Dynamite was Marina Shafir, and that was in a Death Riders match. You know, like, so I'm just saying, like, you still have the choice to like make these decisions a little more balanced, even if we weren't going to get another match. You know,
there's no semblance. There's no semblance of consistency. There is none. There is no rhyme or reason to it. Mm-hmm. Why is the men's final already here and we're still in the semifinals of the women's tournament? Why did they continuously milk tournaments? This is the same type of thing that happened with the Ring of Honor TV title, not the TV title tournament, the pure title tournament that got milked forever and ever and ever. It seems a lot of the times like they put the cart before the horse when it comes to their planning. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there going, yes, this was a fantastic match, but you made everybody wait how long? Hour and a half? Almost an hour and a half?
Hour, at least.
I have a lot of thoughts about this. So I think there's two different conversations that everybody's having. I think one of the conversations that we're having is the ideal world that we all want to see, that we all are fighting for. You know, when we make our posts, we go on Threads, we go on, you know, the other platforms, and we're, you know, making sure that we're making our voices heard during the women's segments. And we're saying we want more women on TV and doing all of these things, right? So that's us fighting for the ideal world. There's also, unfortunately, the real world, where, as we were speaking earlier, the old white man thing is still very much in control of it. That's where the conversation becomes who has more control over what we see on TV. Is it Tony Khan or is it WBD? Mm-hmm. And from what I heard, somebody on Threads said this, and I didn't see it for myself, but you know, it's an easily verifiable thing, so I'm assuming it's true. But they said that Tony Khan basically said in the scrum after Double or Nothing that this is a WBD thing. They are requesting specifically on TBS to not have as many women's matches and women's segments, whereas they will allow for more of them on TNT, which is why you saw 6 women's segments on Collision, and then you see 1.5 if you want to include Tekla's little speech on Dynamite. So then I look at it and I say, okay, well, how do these TV deals work? You basically lease out your rights for a certain amount of time, right? For them to air your show on their programming. They are giving you money to do this. Right then is when I'm like, okay, well, if I'm giving somebody money to do something, I probably have a lot of say-so over what happens with that. Even if they're technically the boss or they're in charge or whatever, if they're using my money to do it, ultimately, if I say we're limiting the women's segments to 1 or 2 on Wednesday and you can do what you want on Saturday, I don't know how much of a fight Tony has in that situation. And I feel like, and again, this is just a conversation to be had because I don't know, but I guess that's the question. How much power does TK have in that situation? Do we feel like he has more power and he's like sort of using that as an excuse to not put more women on TV? Or do we think WBD is holding him up from actually doing what he would rather do, which is probably spread things out a little more equally? I guess that's my question to you guys, because I tend to lean on the second one, that Tony would probably put more women on Dynamite if WBD wasn't putting some sort of pressure on him behind the scenes. That's my read of it. What say you?
If I mean, you want to go first, Blade? You want?
No, you go.
First of all, here, let me just go ahead and say it now. This is not a Tony hates women show. Let's just get it out of the way. We know that. We all know this.
Right.
I think I'm gonna put it in plain terms because I think it really is one of two things. You either don't want to do it or you can't. Mm-hmm. So either you refuse to, or you're bound by a contract and you're kind of a coward. And you got in bed with these people who now are telling you what to do, when I'm sure that's kind of probably what you didn't want them to do. I'm not comfortable with either answer. Like, you could give me you could give me he doesn't want to. You could give me it's WBD, and I wouldn't care less, because
I would care more if Tony didn't want to.
I mean, yeah. If he didn't want to, that'd be like
if it's the WBD thing and they're kind of forcing his hand, I can forgive that a little easier. But if TK is
if all of a sudden
not the women, then I'm like, all right, bro,
like Shane Taylor Promotions and Swerve and Athena and everybody just disappeared, and then we find out it's because of WBD. Yeah, absolutely. I'm in total agreement. But it's like there's no happy ending to it.
Yeah.
What I would say is, I don't think it's quite that concrete no matter which one you believe more. I think there's a mixture of something in there, right? Where it's like, I think Tony views Dynamite as his flagship show, and he's a total whore for minute by minute ratings. Like, that's what that's what he puts on Dynamite, is what he thinks will draw the best rating, right?
Keyword, he's a ratings whore.
Yeah. And I think that if you guys recall, this is why I don't buy the WBD part so much, like as heavily as a lot of people kind of talk about it. Before Tony got hurt, or before Juice Robinson, gave her the zombie parasite that he gave her, there were lots of women. There were like 3 or 4 women's segments on Dynamite regularly. Like Tony Storm herself was pretty much guaranteed to have a spot somewhere on the show. So, they did women's blood and guts. The tag titles were defended regularly. Willow versus Mercedes, all that stuff happened during that time. And as soon as Mercedes and Tony weren't available, Mercedes was taking time off. Tony's injured. Things drastically changed.
I refute that. I knew that was coming, and I refute that. Because this isn't the first time this is a problem for them.
It's not the first time
this has been ongoing. So it was happening whether it was Tony and Mercedes. Like, for me, like when I'm watching the product, I take Tony and I take Mercedes out of it, and I go, what are you doing with everybody else? You gotta look at it from you have to take them out because they're such a major part. Tony was such like an over cast of the entire show, not in a bad way, never in a bad way. It was always beautiful when she came out, but when it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like movies when you want to make War of the Worlds, you make it with Tom Cruise, or you put it on Amazon Prime with Ice Cube. I don't know.
Right. Well, and what I would say is like Tony getting injured really demonstrates the failure of Tony Khan to transfer, and I've said this before, but like Joshi and I were talking about this last year, is like if you just have Tony kind of run through that division and beat everybody, right?
What's left?
Then you're not like you're not making other stars. You know what I mean? You're not using the rest of that division to its fullest potential. So when Tony's not available or Mercedes is not available, then what do you got? Right?
What do you got?
So Willow, in my opinion, Tekla and Willow are kind of the next tier below Tony and Mercedes at this point right now.
Yeah, Willow was going to get shot to the moon.
Willow was going to get shot to the moon this year. I firmly believe that. And
I would throw Stat in that mix as well.
They wanted it to be Stat.
Okay. Yeah.
They wanted it to be Stat. But I think there's something with her character that just isn't fleshed out enough. That's why she kind of lost the title like unceremoniously on a Dynamite, Like it wasn't like a big dramatic loss.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, but I'm saying like as far as fan perception, not necessarily how Tony views them or how the booking people view them, but like fan perception, I would say the top 2 stars, like you said, are Mercedes and Tony, and then like if we're gonna go A and then B is definitely Willow's a B plus, she's right there. Tekla's a B plus, A minus, she's like right on the verge, and then Chris, I would say fan perception wise is a solid B because we love her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like you said, there's something about her character that's not clicking with maybe the wider audience, but like when it comes to like the base, we've loved Chris forever. So I mean, Marina's a star right now.
Yep.
Right.
Did
now,
you hear that? Did you hear that reception that she got at Ring of Honor? Like it was insane.
Yep.
Or like last week, during the 5-on-5 when she didn't come out with the Death Riders at first, versus STP and them, and then once Trisha Dora got involved, and then Marina came from the crowd, and the crowd popped huge. I'm like, Marina's a star. Like, just we spent all this time doing the Death Rider story to make her a huge deal. It worked.
She's kind of the breakout from that story, really, when you think about it. Like,
yeah.
She broke bigger than Pac or Claudio. She broke bigger than Yuta or Garcia. Like,
and she did it by not wrestling. That's the closest thing. That's the closest thing to the Sting storyline we've ever seen, where somebody got more over by not wrestling all that time. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, Brooks is correct. Harley is a star.
Yeah.
All she's got to do is get some more reps in and get her ring work a little bit tighter, and she could be a world champion one day. She has the personality for it. People love her. She could be mainstream. I know that's important to a lot of people, you know, being able to be a breakout star outside of wrestling. Harley has all those qualities. Like, there's more than enough talent.
Even the chat has been making some points. Books and Body Slams was making his point. Outside of, we'll start with Michael Allen. In either scenario, how does that bode well for Tony Khan retaining or attracting female talent? Because that means if I sign to your company, I'll have limited screen time. Exactly. If you can't work with what you have, then how are you going to fix it by throwing more bodies at the problem? That's why when I hear let's move everybody from Ring of Honor, no. Because you can't, as Books and Body Slam said, outside of those big three, Tony's, Mercedes, Willow, they have a problem with pushing the women consistently, it seems. And Willow just started.
You know what I think the thing that's actually kind of infuriating about it for me is watching Tony build so many guys from nothing to stars. Like, he knows how to build a star. Yeah. Like, he knows how to do it.
We've seen it.
And watching him not do it with people he could, like you put Willow in the launch pad, like, she's gonna be a star. Statlander, you'll figure it out, with consistent focus and time. Tekla is somebody who jumped off the page, and I think she straight up stole Stat's spot, because Tekla was a little more fleshed out than Stat was. But I think Willow was going to be launched this year. I think she was probably going to win the tournament. And
I would agree with that statement. I kind of felt the same, that Willow was going to win the tournament this year.
Yeah, and that's great. And I applaud that. But I think that you needed to use the time you had. Tony has had to learn this lesson in some really painful ways. But, like, he didn't make some of the matches, for instance. Like, he held off on making some of the big dream matches that everybody wanted to see because he thought he could do it later in the early days of AEW. And then people would be hurt and they would never be healthy at the same time, and you never got to see some of those matches. You got to see one Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega match, and it was a draw. I'm pretty sure all of us wanted to see like 2 or 3 more of those, right? But they were never healthy at the same time again, So and Tony, he was going to put the ball in Willow's hands this summer, and she's gone, and now he can't. And I think, honestly, he might be, Maya World, I think he sees kind of similarly, So we'll see what happens on Collision. But
I totally agree with that point, by the way. I was more or less speaking from a support perspective. So no, I think that point is 100% accurate as far as will that potentially make women disillusioned from signing because they're not gonna. I think that's a totally accurate point, and that's not what I was saying. What I'm saying more or less is if it's WBD kind of strong arming Tony, then I can forgive Tony a little bit better, and it'll make me as a fan feel a little bit more comfortable watching AEW because I know it's not Tony's fault that we're not seeing what we want to see. Whereas if it is Tony's fault, that'll kind of make me side-eye my support a little bit more because it's like, okay, well, if this is a choice, then you could choose to do better, and I may withdraw my support if you're not going to, you know what I mean? So it's more or less that. That's so.
Yeah.
Lots of good points being made in the chat. I just want to read a few of these. So Michael Allen Lewis continued. Yeah, Persephone's going to have to decide, do I stay and fight for the one spot women get on your highest rated show? Or do I go to WWE to possibly be seen by a few million, which is obviously more than Dynamite?
I already thought she signed a dual contract, so that's
she did. But the speculation is that it's up at the end of the year. So not just her AEW contract, like her contract with CMLL as well. So that's obviously somebody that WWE would clearly be, anybody in their right mind would be interested in Persephone, right? You know, so how attractive are you making an environment to somebody that talented if they think they can make it in WWE as well, you know?
But I mean, but also you could do the flip side of that coin, which is her ego really that fragile she can't handle one loss? She is the CMLL Women's Champion after all.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's what they're saying though. Is like, it's more like, are you going to fight for the one position? Are you going to fight to be featured in the one match they have on Dynamite every week? Or are you going to go somewhere where there's more opportunities to be featured? You know, like if you think you can get on TV more consistently in WWE, you'd probably go there, right?
And it reminds me of that whole evil time in WWE where we talked about the brass ring, where that's where it seemed like for the women's division, that's why it didn't grow. It was either Charlotte or it was either Becky.
Yep.
And it was, you got to grab you, but you can't have more than one. And it took friends, and it tore friends apart professionally. And that's kind of what is happening here in a way, by what you're saying, which I agree with.
Yeah. And it's really too bad because I think that Tony and Mercedes, like, there's nothing bad to say about either one of them. They're both fantastic, you know, like once in a lifetime performers, both of them. I just think you can't make that the basis for your entire division. When they announced the tag, so like people are saying in the chat, you know, AEW's never really booked women that consistently well. I'm talking about a very specific narrow window of time. From the time they announced the women's tag titles to the time Tony got hurt. It's a very short window, but there was way more women's wrestling in AEW all of a sudden. And it was a lot easier to like enjoy and feel good about. I wasn't watching for what AEW was missing as much anymore.
But
and I was
what
just
a
like,
short window though.
It was a very short window.
Now that you said, because I would have said the same thing, because I think it was Always and Never that said what you had said.
Yeah.
I would have said the same thing. AEW has not ever consistently booked the division well, but when you think about that time frame, I was going like in my head, like, how long was that? Wow.
But
very short.
Didn't RJ City have a lot to do with Tony's storyline though?
Yep.
So I think that's the problem. It's maybe because one of the comments is going to say it, so I won't read it ahead of time, but basically he's just not good at booking the women, you know, like he's just not good at booking women's wrestling in general. So he should have an RJ they do that in WWE. Like Triple H and them didn't have shit to do with the Bloodline storyline. That was Paul Heyman, The Rock, and Roman. Yeah. They wrote that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you could do shit like that with the women. Just be like, okay, we need to have some women say, RJ, that's your department because you're good at working with them and you can obviously create memorable stories. You know, we're still talking about Tony versus Mariah, you know, 2 years later. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it can be done within AEW. It's just, it may not be TK to be the one to do it. You know, I think overall booking in general got a lot stronger once he started having more like veterans around. Like once Danielson wasn't really, you know, wrestling as much anymore. I feel like you could kind of see that on screen. Like the TV product kind of cleaned up almost instantly.
When there's more voices,
I don't know if he has, you know, a position or whatever, but it seems like it. Yeah.
Like it's never a bad thing to have more voices in the room. Otherwise, the voice that all you're hearing is your echo. But it also, like, it literally did make me ask the question, okay, if that is the case, Shane, Blade, then why the hell is Ring of Honor got so many women's matches on it, and who is helping with the booking? If we say he can't book women, I went looking everywhere, and it says he is the only booker. Right. So
I don't believe
what's
that.
going on?
I don't believe that.
I think he's got creative input from other people for sure.
There's just no way that he's the only. There's only so much time that somebody has in a day.
I did
Dynamite, Collision, Ring of Honor, the pay-per-views. He's also running the football league. He's also running the soccer team.
I do apologize. I did see that Kenny Omega is a creative consultant.
Mm-hmm.
That makes all the sense in the world because Kenny loves women's wrestling. So there you go. You know what I'm saying?
So what the hell's happening on AEW?
Right. Well, so I think okay. So that leads me to the next thing, and we're going to have to bulldoze through the rest of what we got here because, guys, this has been so fucking awesome that, like, we are, like, only halfway through the notes, and you guys this has been, like...
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Like, it's such a... we've had such a great fucking chat about so many things, and we're only halfway through. But what I did want to say is... You can draw the parallel, though, between Dynamite and Collision. And I feel like Collision, especially the last 2 or 3 weeks, has lapped Dynamite. Like, it's been far and away the superior show.
Oh, yes, it has. I look forward to Saturday nights more than I look forward to Wednesdays. When I get to Wednesday night, it's a coin flip. I might decide to watch it on Thursday, which is my work from home day.
Yeah. And I think like it's really this last week is a great example. They had 3 women's matches. Sheeta beat
Sheeta.
She's in the TBS title match, right? Survival of the fittest match. You had Athena get a win. And you also had, what was that last, like?
Mercedes.
Not
on Collision. Sorry. Did Stat have a match? Yeah, for the Eliminator. What's it called? Not the Eliminator.
But Stat's wrestling for the Eliminator on this Collision that's about to happen.
Athena had a match.
Athena had a match. Sheeta had a match, and there was one other match. It doesn't matter.
Was there a tag match? Yeah, but I remember though because I was posting about it like at the time. I was like, oh shit, there were 6 women segments on this show. Like that's what's up.
Yeah, and
like that's what we need to be seeing.
I never ever felt like it lacked men's matches or men's segments. It was a much more evenly booked product.
Always,
and I thought that it was done really well.
Collision has been my A show for at least over a year now, maybe closer to 2. But like you can check my threads history and everything. Like I've been saying that for a long time. Like Collision is the A show. Like, and this is why Dynamite has more of a. I don't want to call. Dynamite has more of a mainstream. It has more of a mainstream American presentation than Collision does, whereas Collision is more action based, whereas Dynamite is more story focused. So there's a lot more talking segments, a lot more, and that's like, I'm cool on that kind of stuff. Like, give me a 30-second talking segment and give me a lot of wrestling. You know what I mean? And that's Collision. So Collision that's been my show.
Being watched by the executives as much as
Yep. Let's see. Michael Allen Lewis says that's not correct. Sheeta, Rio, Nyla, and even Britt were booked strongly in the early days from a character even match standard that all went away after the whole Outcast fiasco. I think I honestly think the women's talent pool was so much smaller back then, though. It was like
very much smaller.
It was much smaller, and I think there was a lack of premium female talent available to AEW at the time when they started.
And Britt, I think we have revisionist history on Britt, man. She was not good when she first started. When she came out, she was not good.
She improved a lot, and I think Britt got over as a character, and she ended up getting a lot of screen time. Michael adds, controversial take, Moxley gets 20 minutes per show, Dynamite and Collision. Just shave off 5 of those for at least one extra women's match. And Michael adds, as a character, Britt was pushed hard as a start. Yeah, she was.
I would counter that with shave off 5 minutes for one women's match is probably even more disrespectful. Just give them just 5 minutes. But I understand. But I understand the point. I'm just here. Just hear me out. But I'm just saying that if you're going to just give them 5 minutes when we just are gushing over 22, we don't want to do that.
I think though that the point with Moxley I do get, because he is on every show, and he's on for like a good chunk of time for every show. And
Mox and MJF.
Yeah. Well,
we
I don't
love
think
MJF.
on
He's
as
the
much
star.
as Mox.
No, I completely agree, but I'm saying throwing breadcrumbs is not the answer to the problem.
No, I agree. It's not. And I think that Collision this last week proved you can have balance without anything feeling lacking. And I think that that's entirely possible. It felt like they were moving things along at a rapid clip. So
very fast. You know what else was very fast? Was balanced? Global Wars.
Yes. That's where I was going next. So ROH Global Wars from Cincinnati took place, aired last night. I watched it, not live, but I watched it afterwards.
Watched live.
What a fucking amazing show that was. Absolutely unbelievable. You have the triple threat with Lio Rush and AR Fox and
Action Andretti.
And Action Andretti. I liked Action Andretti's kind of glow up. I thought I
did too. I liked the glow up. I liked the entrance. I liked it. Okay. Production value. That was my. Oh my God! I'm still in shock. I can't believe. Can't.
Well, and did you hear how behind Lio Rush that crowd was? I mean, they normally love AR Fox, and that was a 100% Lio crowd.
100%.
Shane, what do you think of that? What do you think of what do you think of this Lio gimmick in general?
I mean, I love it. Like when I first saw, like when he debuted during that Battle Royal, it was like, because I had no frame of reference for his Black Rain character, I guess, that he was doing in like Japan and in other places. So I had no idea what it was. Like I thought it was just an entirely new thing, because the only Lio Rush that I was familiar with was basically the character that he'd essentially been playing with Action Andretti. Right. Like even when he was in WWE, that was still basically the same character. He was kind of the young
Lashley, like the way you would say Lashley. I love
that.
Yeah.
He was always like the young hip, hip hop dude. Like that was always kind of his character, right? Like so now that he's doing something just totally opposite, it threw me off at first, but then that promo that he did with Nigel McGuinness, I watched it back earlier today just to watch it. Like, where he was like, Nigel, it's really good to see you. The first time he said, it's fine. It's fine. The first time he did that, that's when I was hooked right there. I was like, okay. So like, there's this thing that he's fighting with that like the human side is trying to like contain, it seems like. And then they even up the ante with like the conglomeration and like they're stand still, he can't see you, and then I love all of it, like because it combines the silliness that wrestling can be, but still allows Lio to show off that athleticism that we love him for. He didn't have to change his in-ring style really, like so that's the thing I like. I don't like when people change their character and then they wrestle completely differently. Like don't do that. Like wrestle the way we like, but do something cool. So he's doing that. Like so, I love it. I love everything about it. Shout out to the world television champion.
Fuck yeah. Harley, go ahead.
No, that was actually, I was going to say, Shane's right. That was the only thing that scared me. The only thing that worried me about his character was because were we going to lose the Lio Rush that I saw all through New Japan, who was freaking amazing. And at first it sort of, it kind of did. And so I kind of couldn't, but I did have the same reaction. This is different. Okay. But That video package that they gave him last night was one of the most original things I've ever seen, and I wish I was being prisoner of the moment, but it was just so wonderfully weird.
I loved it. The little poem he was doing where he's like talking about the fox and the what was he calling Andretti?
The fox and the friend, right?
The fox and the friend. There you go. Yeah. That was fucking really weird and unsettling and interesting. It was like taking a little bit of Bray Wyatt, but not going way too far with it and making it so out there that you kind of can't, you can't
translate it into
right.
Because that's what they used to say to Bray all the time, I guess, which is, okay, all of that is dope, but eventually the bell has to ring. Then what?
Right. And there was also a lot of stuff with Bray where he's just laughing and saying a bunch of crazy shit, With Leo, what I liked about that promo was he's like, the rain's almost here and it cuts deep. So like the rain is something. It means something, and so I like where this is going. I like how they develop the character, but this guy is hitting hard because he is on every fucking show they do. Like he was on, he's usually on Dynamite and Collision at least. And sometimes he's on Dynamite, Collision, and ROH, So it's like Leo's getting over in a very real way. And
I am very happy. Leo's what? Like, I can't think of how tall he is. 5'8", maybe?
No.
5'9", or shorter.
Maybe.
5'6". He's not
5'5", 5'6". He's a little guy.
Yeah, he's like 5'5".
Oh, God. But to be that little... And at one point, dude was hurt bad and was not looking like he was ever going to come back. And he's come all the way back and then some. They're one of the bigger success stories of the year, my opinion.
Well, and he even left AEW one time and then went to New Japan and did all the things, and he came back and he re-signed. And look at it's so great to see him reaping the rewards. Because I've always thought he was a good promo. He's obviously a great wrestler, So it's just cool to see him, really, really like getting over in a huge way.
Who's taller?
I don't know if
you or Leo Rush.
Oh, I'm taller than Leo Rush for sure.
I'm taller than Leo Rush.
Yeah. Okay, so here's some perspective. I'm 5'8". All right.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I met Action Andretti at a Defy show. Dude was a little shorter than me. Okay. Action Andretti was shorter than me. Slightly.
You're 5'8".
So Leo Rush, imagine, Leo Rush is like 5'4", 5'5", something like that. He's a short dude.
Chat, do y'all believe Blade? That's what I want to know. Do y'all believe him? He's 5'8".
Is it possible that this man could be 5'8"? All right. All right. The chat can weigh in. We also had Konosuke Takeshita and Lee Johnson had a really fun match.
My gosh, amazing.
Loved that they showed the LFI match with Los Villanos. From CMLL, and they explained that Beast Mordos is having visa issues, and the only way they could defend those titles was if they went to Mexico. But Tony Khan gave him the opportunity to do it instead of stripping him, which I thought was that actually I love shit like that.
It worked out for the best. It really did. Having that match announced on Tuesday, it made me excited to know we got to see it on Thursday, and it was very, very good.
Yeah, exactly, Tino. Exactly.
Fucking Tino, you are 5 feet tall, bro. You are literally 5 feet tall.
Yeah, Tino. It takes one to know one. He knows.
I said 3/4.
Dude, I fucked with the wrong guy.
Quarter inch matters, bro. You should know.
Don't
take that quarter inch. You are.
Always never listens.
That's where the lifts come in.
Sure.
That's what gives them the 5'8" right there. Is the quarter-inch lifts.
Sometimes you got to be careful because Always Never has clearly listened to me very carefully at many different points because I am actually 5'7" and 3/4. And I'm sure I've said it on this show. Yeti Malone ain't no way. Blade is 5'8". Yeti Malone, the towering 5'9" guy. Yeah. Yeti Malone is 5'9" and thinks he's a giant, by the way.
It's not 5'7" and 3/4.
Tino says Mystico just called out Beast and Sammy for the titles too. Yeah. Tino Ibarra goes, yeah, and I don't lie about my height because he really is 5 foot tall. I don't lie about my height either. Okay, I just round up. All right. My cousin Tony said 70% of guys that are 5'8" are what we call liars. 5'8" isn't even that short.
No,
exactly.
Actually, the average height of an American, and you can take this for what it's worth, average is 5'6".
Yeah, I'm tall. See, parasocial is a dangerous thing, says Always Never. Hey, you're a bit. You support me. You clearly listen to me. I appreciate it. I just Always Never. I round up as well, Blade. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Takumi
Iroha, yes.
Versus Hyon. Unbelievable match. Oh my god. These women beat the shit out of each other. Hyon, I know she's got some history in Japan. I know she's traveled a little bit. I respect her so much more after watching this match because
so do I.
Holy, she got the shit kicked out of her. Like, oh my god,
is known for not playing around in that ring. She earned her respect card last night.
Yeah. Hyon really impressed me in this match. Her intensity was incredible. And Iroha was fantastic, just unbelievable. But we got it. I mean, look, Athena versus Shuri. It was only 16 minutes long. And there's two things I got to say about this match. One, it's on my match of the year list. Okay. It was that good. But also
with
Shuri.
Hazuki and Mercedes too.
Yeah. Shuri also grew her hair out a little bit and it made me feel things. And I mean that respectfully.
Respectfully.
But things were felt.
I understand, it's okay.
Yeah, she looked beautiful. But this match just kicked all the ass. Athena is so fucking good. It is incredible to see where this woman is at. Antoine, you and I have had this debate for a long time now because I keep saying she needs to be in AEW, and you're like, she doesn't want to be. Maybe she doesn't want to be in AEW. And I kind of hear her say conflicting things. You can't blame me, at least, for going, this fucking literal goddess should be on the biggest stage possible. Right?
I can't, because without being on AEW, she was just on Global Wars, was the main event of a show that sold out, that was match of the year candidate, and she's not on All Elite Wrestling, which would make her miserable, and we don't want that for any of us, do we?
Well, no, I don't want her to be miserable.
Right?
I don't want her to be miserable. If she truly actually does want to just stay in ROH, like, okay, but
I understand. But good God, if I could go back, I would say that match had about the same length of time as the other one. They fight hard and they burn fast. Those two together, and especially with how tough freaking Shorty is with those kicks, especially in her knee. Oh my goodness. I don't think either of them could have gone another 5 or 10 minutes.
No. sometimes when people are like, well, they didn't get as long as blah, blah, blah. It's like, did they do everything they needed to do?
Yes.
Yeah. 60 minutes was perfect for that match.
I just love how authentic Athena's offense looks. Like she makes her shit look legit. Like that's the thing I appreciate the most about her. Like outside of the athleticism and all the other things that you like wrestlers for. Like her specifically, like there's a few people that have that gift. Takeshita's one of them.
Yeah. Oh,
like Takeshita, his shit looks like it hurts when he lays in like a solid elbow or a punch. That shit looks like it hurts for real. Athena is top notch in that category to me. Like when she throws a punch or an elbow or a forearm, I'm like,
those forearms
and her elbows.
Because she's got them strong legs too. When she throws drop kicks, like she's not doing it lightly. Like you can hear the impact of her feet hitting the person's back or chest or whatever. And then like you can see them and I'm like, how is she doing this and keeping her opponent safe at the same time? Like that's the mystery of Athena for me that really makes me intrigued, because it's like, clearly she's a professional and she's not hurting people, but it looks like she is. So goddamn, she's so good at this.
People. like unbelievable. Tino says Athena and Shuri are now 1-1. We need that rubber match soon. Look, if I can picture somebody taking that belt from her, Shuri's on the list. You know what I mean? I think it might be Maya World in the end, but
I'd love to get that match at a certain December show that happens for Stardom.
Hell yeah, that'd be amazing. My cousin Tony says, I'm 5'8.5". I round down so that I can tower over the 5'8" imposters. It's my mission in life. Cousin, I wish you wouldn't share so much of this in public. It's hard to know you sometimes.
Just Michael as you're towering over Blade, that's the important part.
Well, he does. I mean, he does.
Yeah. Good.
By
a half an inch. It's a big half inch though.
It's a half inch tower.
Yeah.
This is very true. What's up on the screen?
In the beginning, Michael Allen Lewis says, in the beginning, no one knew who Takumi was, so she barely got a response. By halfway point, they started cheering her name. This crowd was digging the Joshis. Yeah. They were really into the Joshis. And I'm telling you, I think Stardom might have the most immediate impact as a partnership than all of the other partners that they have right now.
I do believe so as well. Shane, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say Ring of Honor is kind of more historically linked with New Japan anyway, and by association, Stardom, I would also assume. So the fact that the crowd got really hyped about the Joshis that they may have been unfamiliar with at the beginning of the matches, it's because that crowd has been sort of conditioned to give somebody a chance with how good of a wrestler they are. You know what I mean? Based on just the Ring of Honor style. Like it's not really super character driven. You know what I mean? There are characters, of course, and people play characters, but when you think Ring of Honor, you're thinking of the in-ring action. Right. So I think that crowd is like perfect for introducing somebody like that, or for bringing somebody in front of an unfamiliar crowd, because that's the crowd that will give you a chance to actually like appreciate your work. So it makes sense. Yeah.
And doing those YouTube shows is smart, because you get it out from behind a paywall and you make these people available for everybody to see, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted you guys to go first on this subject, because I wanted to really hear your guys' thoughts, because a lot of the things that you said are a part of mine. What are some of the things that we know? CMLL is the oldest company in the world. CML and New Japan have had that relationship forever. I see it every year. Fantastica Mania. Ring of Honor has had that standing relationship with New Japan, CMLL, and Stardom before Tony ever got there. That's the first time how I ever got to see the Joshis. So they're in an environment, in reality, the actual Forbidden Door that works happened last night. What's missing What needs to be fit into it, that round peg in the square hole, is all elite wrestling. Everybody else is working just fine together. It's just that piece, and it's got to get fit in there. And I do agree with you, Blade. Of all of the promotions right now, that the partnership could really blossom from, it's with Stardom. You've already had Anna Jay. You've already had Megan Bain there for the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. Not many people know this, but she wrestled Shorty earlier this year for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Yep. So you've got that already. Athena's been there already, but you've also got competition for Major League Wrestling, who has just inked a deal with Stardom. So you got Saya, and two of the biggest ones that everybody are trying to get their hands on, Saya and Rena, were over there in Major League. So Tony has had 5 years to start getting this right. And he has not taken full advantage of it. They do need to bring back those New Japan Strong shows in the States and send more AEW women on excursions. I absolutely agree. That was one of my points from K. Michelle. I absolutely loved that they were doing that, and I wondered why they got away from it. The New Japan Strong shows, I think that's probably a little bit different with the whole ownership change and all of that going on. But now you've got competition for these women. You've got literal strong competition, unless you want to bring MLW into the fold too. But they seem to be just fine. They're about to leapfrog TNA. So,
I think so. Yeah, I mean,
I think so for real. I don't think that's a joke. And I think, and you look at the failure that is so egg on his face. That's Maki Ito. That's all over the world right now. You cannot tell me it's not his fault. And you're right, it's not all his fault. There are 3 EVPs who also work for that company. Where are they?
It's one of those things. All we can do is look at the results because we don't know the inner workings of these things. Rocky Romero literally works for all of these companies.
Yep.
He is the man in between. Right, he is the guy who works.
He was the magician behind the scenes that pulled all of this together in the first place.
He doesn't work for Stardom. I think that's the only one he doesn't work for. And he works for.
I'm glad. I'm glad you said that though, Blade. Like the results are what matter, and I think that is. I mean, you guys give me your opinion on this, but I think that might be the issue with the AEW part of things when it comes to Forbidden Door, the results. Because if we look at every show that they've done as a Forbidden Door, they've all been super banger shows. How many guys from New Japan have won any of those matches? Well, when they go up against AEW guys, and that's an AEW tag versus a New Japan tag or a one-on-one or anything. How many New Japan people win? Never.
Right.
Never. It's not been a very balanced relationship between the 4 at all.
They need to be able to put people over if they're going to do the partnership.
That's my point. So some of these New Japan guys got to get some wins over some established AEW talent. Like Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. needs to beat Kenny Omega. We love Kenny.
Yes.
He needs
Starlight Kid needs to beat Thekla. Period. Tekla. Excuse me.
Okay. So I think we've already made our point about Forbidden Door not being forbidden enough for AEW, right? That AEW, the partnership is not being represented well enough yet. What I want to do is run down the card that exists currently and then take it from there because I got some questions for you guys, and then we're going to get out of here. So we got the 12-man cage tag match, which is Mark Briscoe, Takeshita, Darby, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Roddy Strong versus MJF, Kevin Knight, Kyle Fletcher, Okada, Jake Doyle, and Andrade El Idolo. We got Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. We got the men's Owen Hart final, which is Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay. We got the women's Owen Hart final, which is Mercedes Moné versus either Athena or Maya World. We have the AEW Women's World Title match, which is Starlight Kid versus Tekla. The AEW Men's Tag Title match, which is the Dogs versus Cajun Cope. You have the Continental Title match, which is Bandito versus John Moxley. And then the implication is that there's going to be the NJPW Global Heavyweight Title match, Pac versus Shota Umino. No CMLL involvement. 1 Stardom wrestler, 2 New Japan wrestlers. I think Shota Umino will go over on Pac. I do believe that's the case.
I agree.
And that's a very positive thing. I think that's a very positive thing. Because Pac clearly doesn't give a shit about losing. He loses.
And that's the only time it actually does happen where New Japan people win over AEW people is if it's a title match where it's an AEW talent who's not the champion versus the New Japan guy who is, then the New Japan person wins.
Right.
Outside of those circumstances, never.
Right.
Unless their name is John Moxley.
Right. And then they just they just always win. But I think that there is some of that. But I think the other, kind of unspoken part of this is that look at these matches. Bandito would have been a partner wrestler before, but he's signed to AEW now. Dogs or New Japan talent. So Tony is signed to these guys and then created his own Forbidden Tour out of these matchups.
That's what I was going to say. Some of the issue is too, a lot of the people who would have represented these companies, they either have dual contracts, so it's kind of still that, but then it's not really a Forbidden Door, right? Like a Takeshita.
It's just
Takeshita signed to New Japan. It's not really forbidden because you're already signed to both companies. You're supposed to be going back and forth. So it's you know what I mean? There's a lot of that kind of shit too. Claudio with CMLL and AEW. So there's your CMLL representation right there. It's Claudio Castagnoli. It's
right. Technically that's correct. So, you have a point, and I think Mystico is going to be part of Forbidden Door. I think that's why he's showing up right now.
If
you have fucking Mystico, you have to use him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do. He's been in New Japan getting used already on the Best of the Super Juniors tour, and he's part of the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. They use that relationship to its fullest.
Right. And I think what you see is that in America, Tony won't let these guys lose that are under contract, and that's a problem. That's a problem for the partnership because it does make the matches really predictable.
Yeah, that's why I said they need to do one of the Forbidden Doors at the Tokyo Dome.
Yes, they do.
And you do remember they did Wrestle Dynasty that 1 year in 2024. They did Wrestle Dynasty, and Zack Sabre Jr. beat Ricochet, and David Finlay beat Brody King, and that was a really good show. And mostly New Japan talent went over. The only person the only person who didn't was Kenny. Kenny beat Gabe Kidd. But other than that, it was all. But I guess there's a few exceptions. Will Ospreay beat Kenny Omega. Will Ospreay also beat Orange Cassidy. That was one exception that you could make to that. But Will
was a champion, and OC was not at that point, though. Correct?
I don't think Will was a champion at that time.
I don't know if he was defending a title, but I think he had a.
Will was not a champion, I think, at that time.
And then he was winning a title from Kenny Omega. Michael Allen Lewis, I've seen this said a lot. Perhaps it's best to give New Japan a break from the Forbidden Door. They're being put on the spot each year to provide stars and haven't caught up from the ones that's left. I think there is, and there may be a change in the way this works out with the new ownership. I don't know. Kaylee, I do not want the Forbidden Door pay-per-view to go away, nor do I. Forbidden Door should be dream matches with AEW and international stars. Agreed.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. Matches that normally would never have happened outside of this event. There is no other reason to have Forbidden Door than for that reason. If you can't do it, you don't have the show. You don't put the expectations out there to the audience and to us as the fans. Because
it in the cynical marketing sense, they created a brand that people like, Forbidden Door. And
but they can't
now
deliver.
they just give you what they give you. And I remember hearing the Voices of Wrestling guys talk about this years ago. It was during the first one where they were talking about how great it was, right? And they said, in a few years, if New Japan cools off, I mean, who cares? Just do it anyway. And they literally called this exact scenario. Like, where AEW still calling it Forbidden Door, but it's just AEW talent. That's wild. Just really, really wild. Kaylee also says Forbidden Door at Arena Mexico would be so cool. Well, we are.
But she just wouldn't be able to hear any commentary.
Well, we are getting Grand Slam Mexico in August, right before All In. So, that could be limiting some of the CMLL involvement. I don't know. Visas could be an issue.
I mean, and also how much of it is motherfuckers don't want to come here right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of it could be that. A lot of it could be wrestlers are like, we're not fucking with America right now, so I'm not participating this year. Like, it could be a lot of that.
I saw a headline not too long ago, and WWE is obviously friendly with the Trump administration, but I saw something that WWE is really struggling with visas. So, that's why we haven't seen Beast Mordos in forever. That's why we haven't seen Commander. I know Bandito was trying to get his visa issue sorted out, and that's why he's only been at pay-per-views, and he did come back a lot sooner than they expected. I did hear that from somebody. So
if you really look at this card, guys, if you take out Thekla and Starlight and Kenny Omega and ZSJ, this is a really good Dynamite Collision combined episode.
Oh, I think I would pay to see these matches. I mean, you're getting, it's a great card, in my opinion. Like, I love it. You're getting, you're getting Bandito versus Jon Moxley in a title match.
It's a banger card. It's just not a
It's a banger.
Door.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's a banger card.
This is like a Revolution, maybe, or a.
It just doesn't feel like a Forbidden Door. I agree with that.
No,
I'm disappointed.
Not at all.
Yeah. And I don't know what the deal is. I really don't. Yeah, Kaylee brings up all of these indies that are joining my AEW could be involved. I mean,
that would be fun, led by.
And that's a massively positive thing that's going on right now with my AEW. And she also adds the current political climate affects the visas as well. That's got to be part of it, at least.
Of course.
But yeah, and again, you have fucking country soccer teams in America right now that we all know why they're here, and ICE is giving them a hard time. It's just like, it's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are probably like, visa issues could be preventing them from coming, but then a lot of people are probably outright choosing not to travel here.
Yeah.
Like when the New Japan representation goes to them and say, hey, do you want to go and do Forbidden Door? They're like, no. Yeah. Why? Because it's in America. That's why. I'm good.
You can't. I don't fault any of them for that. It just sucks.
How many sickos and our homies have said, like, yo, we want to come over there and travel and come meet y'all and hang out.
We've had these conversations now.
Yeah, like these are our friends, let alone. So
I think AEW needs to change their business model and start putting more events in Canada.
Kaylee says, I wouldn't be so bitter about MJF and Friends versus Mark and Friends if it wasn't stocked with AEW talent and we weren't seeing it happen twice. Yes. Kaylee brought that point up to me before Dynamite. Like, why would you do the match on Dynamite and then do it on the pay-per-view as well, but in a cage? Like,
I thought when I heard that match was happening last night, I was like, I thought somebody was being funny. It's like, no, that's at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. It's just in a cage. Like,
I think that's also that's kind of like what I was saying earlier. That's their sneak way of including other promotions in the show, because You know what I'm saying? Like you have Takeshita, he represents New Japan, DDT, and AEW. So it's like, okay, technically there's some New Japan representation in this match. And Claudio is CMLL and AEW. So technically there's some CMLL representation, or well, there's not Death Riders in the match, but you get my point. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're doing that more so. Like Andrade, I don't know if Andrade CMLL and AEW, so technically you got some CMLL representation in here because Andrade is in the match. Like they're doing
in the
that.
Court of law, they would win.
right. So it's like it's still kind of Forbidden Door, right? Like no,
yeah, it's like wrestlers from all different cultures, but they all work for AEW. Yeah. Well, we can't solve these problems, but we can explore them. And I appreciate you both so much for taking the time to do this with me to celebrate Juneteenth, to bring your perspective to the table. This was an absolute fucking blast. One of my all-time favorite episodes we've ever done. Thank you both so much. Thank you both so much. Make sure if you're listening to this to check out Shane's podcast that he does with Bex and Books, the Bex and Books show, and also Don't Call Me Diva. Check out the Ethos Media Network. And also, make sure you're subscribed to Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, whatever it is. Join us here Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We tape this live every week, and then the edit comes out tomorrow. But until next time, I'm Blade Daly.
I am Antoine Raphael.
I am Shane G.
Pro wrestling forever. Fuck yeah. Michael Allen Lewis, they even mentioned issue anyone caused a DQ during the match, they would be removed from the cage match. That never did anything with that.
No, they didn't do anything with that. No.
Yeah.
Guys.
It's just weird. Kaylee says, love you guys. We love you too, Kaylee. We love you all. Thank you so much. You guys are the best.
Love you too, Kaylee. I mean, brothers, this was absolutely from my heart. This was so much fun.
Oh, it was. It was. It was. The pleasure was all mine. Believe me. I'm gonna end the stream. You guys stay with me because you're uploading from your computers. I need to make sure you're at 100% before we go.
Okay.
But everybody else, we'll get at you soon. Bye.